Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final session of PD 101, Session 3. And before we get to our patient and care partner panel, I wanted to share a little bit about living your best life with Parkinson's disease, talk about coping strategies and things that you can implement into your life right now that will serve you well in the long term. So let's get started. Exploring meaning and values. Exploring what your values are is a learning experience. Oftentimes, I hear that people don't really know what the things are that they value in their life. Some good questions to figure out what your values are is what really matters to you in life, and what are you grateful for? And those are big questions. So those are big questions, and if you can narrow down some answers to those questions, you can find out what values come out of those. For some people, you might value friendship. You might value quality time with your family. You might value your independence. You might value traveling. So it's important to kind of take a big picture about the things in your life that bring you comfort, that bring you joy. And when you're able to kind of pinpoint what those values are, you can start making active moves to bring more of those activities, bring more of those intentions into your daily life. And I'd encourage you to talk about this with your care partner, with your friends, people who are close to you, so you can find out what they value too. And when you find out what they value, you can share together about the things that you want to start, the actions you want to start doing in your life to live more into those values. Sometimes people, for example, if you value friendship and you haven't talked with your friends in a while, one action you could take is making a phone call to a friend or texting them to say, when would be a good time for us to catch up? And being intentional about making those actions a more frequent part of your routine, because that's something that you value and it makes you feel good. So it's a learning experience to explore what is meaningful to you and what you value. Often when talking about values, spirituality is a big component too, and faith and hope. So looking at that bigger picture of what brings you comfort, what brings you joy is important to explore. When you find out what those values are, it can give you a sense of purpose. And some people find purpose in giving back to their community, whether that's the Parkinson's disease community or just volunteering at a local food bank. What passions do you have that you can give back to and lead you to continue living an active and productive lifestyle? If you're interested in getting involved with Parkinson's disease community, there is research to get involved in. The fundraising walk, different fundraising walks. There's Moving Day coming up in November with the Parkinson's Foundation, and support groups. Many times people feel a sense of purpose and that they can give back in support groups because you're showing up for each other in those support groups and sharing experiences and resources, and it can be a really important community to be a part of. So I want to talk a little bit about strategies for coping. When it comes to living with Parkinson's disease, it's important to find that balance between optimism and realism, keeping a positive attitude, having gratitude for the things that you can do and the things you are doing actively every day, And also keeping in mind your realistic expectations. Oftentimes we are our biggest critics. We set these lofty long-term goals that we know will take us a lot of time to reach and to get to, when what might be a better idea is to create goals for the end of the day, goals for our week that we know are realistic and attainable, and we're able to meet them on a frequent basis, which can make you feel pretty good about yourself. And I want to talk a little bit about the word acceptance, because I feel like it can have a negative connotation, especially when dealing with a chronic illness. Acceptance is a tough word. That it doesn't mean that it's a positive experience that that you are living with Parkinson's disease. Doesn't mean that you approve of it, but it means that you know what's happening, you're in control of this, and you have the power to make choices every day on what you're going to do to live well. And so that's why I like to talk a little bit about acceptance, because it's not we're not making the positive spin on the word acceptance that not everything just works out the way that it's supposed to, but more so, what are the choices that you can make every day that will allow you to live well? What does that include? The exercise groups you're a part of, the staying active in your community, giving back to your community. What choices are you going to make? And be flexible. Things change, and it's important to be able to adapt to those changes and figure out, well, this worked a few months ago, but it's not working now. What can I do? What can I do now? What can I do in this moment? And one thing that is helpful, especially to your healthcare team and likely to your family, is I'd make a list of all, when you're making the list of your values, include all those things that bring you joy, that bring you comfort. If it's, traveling, spending time with family, those things that you want to continue to be actively involved in. And if you look at that list and you see that there are symptoms of Parkinson's disease that are making those things more difficult to accomplish, then let your healthcare team, let your neurologist, your movement disorder specialist know, so that they can make changes to your treatment plan to keep you active and participating in those activities for as long as possible. So remember, no one is a mind reader. Communication is key. Open conversations are key, and communicate what is important and what you are passionate about, so that we can be passionate about it too. A few more strategies for coping. And this is a big list of different coping strategies, and I wanted to make sure that that I'm not saying that everybody should do everything on this list. Everybody with Parkinson's disease is unique, just like every person is unique. So what helps you with your coping, what helps you cope, is going to be unique and individual to you. And so these are a few ideas to get you started, to see what works well for you. And some of these might not be what's helpful for you. Some of these take practice before that they can become really useful. So I wanted to give you a list of what these look like. Now, when it comes to feeling overwhelmed, when it comes to feeling like you don't have control over your situation, and you feel like your own coping strategies aren't working, or the things that have worked in the past aren't working now, these are a few of the exercises that I would try. First, deep breathing exercises, a scientifically evidence-based practice that when people are feeling dysregulated, when you feel like you're not in control of your own emotions, taking some deep breaths can really calm you down. So we'll do one all together. Breathe in and out. I feel better already. But I'd encourage you to try these deep breathing exercises, maybe 4 breaths at a time. Work yourself up to 10 breaths at a time. But having those slow, intentional breathing movements takes practice, and is not going to be a quick fix in the moment. But the more you do it, the more effective it will be. Now, I want to talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. And this is one of my personal favorites when I am not feeling in control of my own emotions. I like to do this one where I look for 5 things in the room that I can see. And I'm looking at a wall, looking at my desk, looking at my water bottle, looking at some sticky notes I have on the table, and some paper clips. Those are 5 things that I can see. Now I'm looking for 4 things that I can touch. I am touching a wooden desk, touching a printer, touching my computer, and touching my phone. 4 things that I can touch. 3 things that I can hear. I hear the hum of my computer. I hear the hum of the air conditioning that's going on around me. And I hear the sound of my own voice. Those are 3 things that I can hear. Then 2 things that I can smell. I smell the fabric softener from my clothes, and I can smell the sweet potato chips that I had for lunch. And if you can't smell, some people can't smell, then think of your favorite smells. That's what you can focus on for 2, your favorite smells. And then the last one, 1, what can you taste? What can you taste? And that probably was part of what I could smell, was those, still got some sweet potato chip taste left in my mouth. But anyways, that's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. It brings you back to this present moment of things that you can see, things that you can touch, things that you can hear, things that you can smell, and things that you can taste. And whatever you were worrying about in that moment, whatever was developing these feelings of overwhelm, you have brought yourself back to this present moment. What's happening right now is what matters the most. We can't control the past. We can't control the future. We can control what's happening right in this moment. So I encourage you, if you've never tried that before, to try it out. Music is a wonderful strategy for coping. Your favorite song, we know, again, scientific and evidence-based, that music can change and shift your mood and can bring you comfort, bring you joy. So I encourage you to play music when you are feeling overwhelmed. I asked some of the people who attend our support group what they do to cope. And they said dance. They wear bright colors. They do things to change their appearance that makes them happy. They set an intention or a daily affirmation that they can say throughout the day that will ground them. They write down how they're feeling when they're feeling overwhelmed, which brings them back to the present moment and helps them calm their emotions. Get outside, go for a walk, practice mindfulness. And mindfulness practice is really any one of these strategies that we tried, anything that's going to bring you back to the present. And I like to share the oxygen mask metaphor. If you've been in an airplane and you have heard the all call that that if an emergency happens, the oxygen mask comes down, and you need to use your own oxygen mask before you help anyone else with theirs. And this is often used as a metaphor for self-care to make sure that you're caring for yourself before you care for anyone else. But the reason why I don't like this metaphor, I don't like the oxygen mask metaphor, is that I hope that no one here has ever had to go through that experience, that emergency, that crisis, where an oxygen mask has come down in the airplane. Because that means that we are already experiencing an emergency and a crisis, and these coping strategies are here so that we avoid those crises, so that we avoid it becoming an emergency, because we want to practice our coping skills in times where we're just practicing them on a daily basis, not when things have gotten so difficult and so hard that they've become an emergency. We want to make them a daily practice, something that's in our routine and something that we feel control over. So I want to encourage you that these strategies really can help you in the moment. And I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the importance of having a care partner and how their experience is so important, as well as the person with Parkinson's. Your care partner is, as Dr. Browner has stated, is your rock, is the person who can go with you to your appointments and be your sounding board for symptoms that are happening, for any, so you don't forget what went on in the appointment, and you all can talk together about and strategize about what things are most important that need to be discussed in those appointments. They can support you when times are hard. They can help you find what coping strategy works best for you and works best for them. They can be your advocate. One of the things that I hear most often is how hard it is to be your own advocate all the time, to constantly be advocating for yourself, that sometimes it's really nice when somebody else picks up some of that slack and says, these are the supports we need and this is why we need them. So talk with your care partner about how they can best advocate for you if that gets tough. It can allow you time to process this Parkinson's disease experience. It can help you plan the future together, talk about what your expectations are, and be your biggest cheerleader. Your care partner is so important, and looking forward to hearing from our care partner this afternoon. And I wanted to share a little bit of word about self-care for the care partner and how important it is. Referring back to the oxygen mask metaphor, but it's important for care partners to care for themselves, so it never reaches a crisis point where more help is needed. So here, self-care isn't an indulgence, it's a necessity. Respite is an earned right. If there is time when everybody needs time to be independent, everybody needs time, just time for themselves. And often that can come with guilt feelings or negative feelings. But it's important to know that that's normal, and it's important, and it's good to have these conversations about when taking that time is going to be good for you. If you're in a caregiving role, it's important that you give care to yourself, because like we've talked about, you cannot care for someone else if you are not being cared for yourself. Check in with yourself, remember what your limitations are and your expectations for those. Everyone has limitations, and it's good to understand exactly where those are. Be realistic about your limitations. Recognize when you need help. Take time to focus on your own health. And so that can include making sure that you're exercising too, making sure that you're eating foods that make your body feel good and comfort you, and making sure that you're able to get enough rest. All of these things can be a lot easier said than done. You are the ones who are living this experience. And I hope that what you'll hear from these things that I'm sharing is it's important. It's important to take care of yourself, and it's not something to put on the back burner. So I hope that you will take some time to implement some of these strategies into your life. So just thinking ahead before we get to the care partner and patient panel, who can you call on for help or support? These sessions that we've had the last 3 weeks have been all about how to strengthen your community, how to build your network of support. How do you envision your future with Parkinson's disease? Have those conversations early and often. Things are going to change as things do, but it's important to have these conversations so you know exactly how you're feeling now and how things might change in the future, to give yourself peace of mind. And sometimes it's kind of hard to think, well, what am I going to need in the future? It's hard to envision what that looks like. So maybe envision how you would rather look back on your Parkinson's disease journey. What would you like? What choices would you like to know then? And some last reminders for yourself. It's important to find a balance between here and now and the future. It's important to stay present into what's happening right now, but also take some time to think about what your expectations are. You are your own advocate and expert. You are your own unique person with Parkinson's disease. You are more than Parkinson's disease. You are doing the best that you can, and you're not in this alone. So you cannot control that you have Parkinson's, but you can control how you live with Parkinson's. And that is all that these sessions have been focused on, how to live well with Parkinson's. So without that, I'm not going to take up any more time, and we are going to get to the care partner panel. Thank you.